Hi YouTube, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can find me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Okay, so I posted a video earlier this week. It was entitled Drinking in the Knife Shop, which honestly is a huge pet peeve of mine, but we'll get to that here in a second. In the video, I open it up by talking about another YouTuber who I was subscribed to and used to enjoy their videos. I didn't name them because, well, you just don't want to name somebody, very often, unless you're just saying something glowingly about them, right? And there was something that he was doing that I didn't particularly care for, so of course I didn't name him, right? Okay, so, and then I started talking about, drinking in the knife shop and, other safety things, things to look out for while you're in the knife shop, right? And the video was a complete tank. It was only up for a couple hours, had like 50 dislikes, a whole bunch of not very nice comments in the comment section. I actually checked it right before I went to bed that night, saw it, and was like, yeah, I better, make this private. Well, I didn't know how to do that, so I ended up having to, figure out how to make it private. Anyway, so kind of what I think happened is that first of all, I babble a lot. You guys, you've seen my channel, you know this, right? I babble, I get distracted, I bounce from one idea to another. What I meant to bring up in that video, okay, the video, Drinking in the Knife Shop, that's been in my head for a while now. And it's not just drinking, it's all the other stuff that can distract you while you're working, okay? The timeline for that video was supposed to be, hey, I saw this guy on YouTube, the guy makes good videos, he's an okay dude. I saw him doing something that reminded me of this video that I was supposed to shoot a long time ago and just completely forgot about it, okay? So, there's this guy, he was drinking on his channel while he was sharpening knives. That reminded me of this video. Okay, now the rest of this video is not about him. The rest of this video is about, keeping your head in the shop, okay? So I think the first problem was that, I babble and, go all over the place and timelines don't always stick to each other. I think the second problem was that I probably gave too much detail about the fella. I never did give his name. And I think the third problem might have been, since I'm so long-winded, people start watching a video and then they're like, oh, okay, well, he's ever going to get to the point, and then skip ahead. And then, okay, we'll get a little bit, and then skip ahead, and then, they catch different pieces of the whole video. And I think it's a combination of all three. Or maybe I just screwed up, whatever. But this video is important enough to me that I'm going to go ahead and reshoot it right now. I'll probably entitle it something different. Something like how to keep all your fingers in the knife shop or something like that. And I've actually got stick-em notes to hopefully keep me on track. Okay, so well, first of all, to that YouTuber, I apologize for my video being taken the wrong way, for putting it out the wrong way, for whatever. But how that video came out was not what I was intending to make it out to be. Okay, so I think that's about as close as I can get to that. Okay, so we're gonna, like I said, we'll title this something different. So I've been making an awful lot of content lately, okay? And this is, I'll probably go ahead and publish this tomorrow morning, and that way, I can keep an eye on it throughout the day. So you're gonna get kind of a sneak peek. I'm making a series, how to make a new knife pattern from start to finish. It's frickin' turning out amazing, okay? It is a whole bunch of the thought process behind making knives that I wish I would have been able to see or hear when I first started becoming a knife maker. okay? So right now I think we're on video like 18, and we just glued up a whole bunch of knives, right? Okay, so I've been putting out like almost a video a day for a while now. So when I shot this one, it was entirely off the cuff, and I, should have edited it first or taken a look at it, because I really suck at editing. Okay, so we got all that. Okay, so here is the actual video part. All right. Now this is in the style of something that we used to have when I was working offshore as a ship's engineer, when I was working at a chemical plant as a plant operator. And we call them different things, but usually they were called something like a tailgate meeting, okay? And the whole purpose of a tailgate meeting was for somebody to say, okay, well, hey, this is a safety-related topic, and we're going to go over it. Okay, well, you'd usually have at least one a week. Or, they would start off, hey, we're going to get a new safety program, right? So let's do this once a week, and then you do it for the first 3 or 4 weeks, and then after that it kind of falls by the wayside, and you never do it again until somebody gets hurt and they implement this new, hey, we're going to make, new tailgate meeting stuff, right? Okay. So, and I guess this will be a good place to start that too. Because I just mentioned that I used to work offshore as a ship's engineer. I used to work at a chemical plant as a chemical plant operator. Okay, I have been working in shops since, I don't know, early teens. So the first real formal shop I can remember working in was, at the moment, a wood shop when I was in 6th or 7th grade, something like that. Since then, it's been wood shops, it's been metal shops, it's been car shops, over-the-road diesel shops over at Wyotech over in Laramie where I took diesel mechanics. Working offshore as a ship's engineer, where you have several shops on the boat, and the boat's out in the middle of frickin' nowhere, so it's not like you can just run down to the parts store and get parts. You also don't have an ambulance on hand. And then out at a chemical plant, So in those type of those environments, safety's kind of a big deal, right? First of all, you want to keep all your fingers, your eyes, the ability to walk, the ability to talk, all that kind of stuff, right? Second of all, if the company gets too many injuries, then OSHA starts fining it and bad things happen, right? Okay, so that's my background in shops, okay? I consider the knife shop a shop, okay? Now, my shop, OSHA doesn't come into this place, right? In fact, there's me, my wife, my boy, a couple of close friends. Occasionally, customers will come to my shop to pick out a new knife or learn how to sharpen a knife, whatever, right? But I have control over who comes into this place, right? But still, this is my shop, and I treat it just the same as if it was a shop on one of the boats that I used to work on, or whether it is, the wood shop at, the junior high that I was in, when I was a kid, or a welding shop, or anything, right? You walk into this shop, and I want it to be a safe place. Now, I am not a safety gear Nazi, okay? Plenty of times you'll see me, I'm not wearing my safety glasses. A lot of times I don't wear hearing protection even though I should. A lot of times when I'm shooting videos, I'm not wearing a mask because, you need to be able to hear me. Well, that's the point of a video, right? Okay. But here is the deal. No matter what kind of equipment I'm wearing or not wearing, or safeguards that are in place, honestly, I take the guards off of a new saw right off the bat because I just can't stand the things, right? Your mindset is your biggest piece of safety equipment that you can have. All right? Huge. And we're going to stop right there because there's a... Okay, that was bugging me. You had something on your lens there. Your mindset when you step into the shop is your number one thing that keeps the 10 fingers that you have attached to your hands attached to your arms, all right? Now, that mindset can be affected by a whole bunch of stuff, all right? And a whole bunch of stuff that non-shop people might not even think about, all right? Now, we can go back to Mr. Howie, okay? Mr. Howie was my high school auto shop teacher, all right? I don't remember his first name at the moment. I'm not even sure if he's still around. I mean, he was getting close to retirement age when I graduated, and that was 20-some years ago. Mr. Howie was an awesome teacher, right? Yeah, absolute awesome teacher. And he was one of those that drilled the idea of safety into all of our young heads, right? And here's a couple of things that not only Mr. Howie, but Mr. Howie, you know, my chief engineers that I worked under when I was sailing on the boats. Those boats, they were seismic vessels, so we were mapping the ocean floor. Ship's engineers, we were responsible for everything on the boat, everything mechanical. I don't care if it was, you know, plumbing, the sink and all the sinks in all the cabins, the light bulbs, the main engines, generators, freshwater makers, boilers, AC units, you know, I mean, the whole 9 yards, right? I mean, if it was mechanical, we fixed it or it stayed broke. So my chief engineers out there, I remember Paul, I remember Jimmy. Those guys were incredibly talented men, and one of their biggest deals was, hey, you have your head screwed on right before you come to work, all right? If it is not, you leave, you get it back on straight, and then you come back, okay? So, I got all that stuff drummed into my head since I was 12 or so, right? And I'm in my early 40s now. So here's a list of things that I have noticed and that I've been told that can affect your performance in the shop. Yeah, here it is. All right. First of all, if you are tired, if you didn't get enough sleep the night before, if you were up with the baby all night long, if you know, you just didn't sleep right, you know, I mean, you had a knee that was bugging you, or your back was hurting, or, you know, whatever, but you didn't get enough rest the night before and you're tired and you're groggy. I understand a lot of times we have to work like that, but as long as you are aware that, hey, I'm stepping into the shop this morning, I need to get this work done because it has to get done because I have to get that money to be able to make the mortgage payment or whatever it is, right? You can say, okay, well, I have to be in here, I have to get my work done, I'm tired, I've still got to work, but as long as you keep in your head, I'm tired, I need to move a little bit slower, you know, while I'm working, things will usually work out okay. It's the first chance you get, take a nap, get an extra cup of coffee, you know, get back to work. The next thing is if you're rushed. This one is huge because everybody's always hurry, 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 as fast as possible, as, you know, as quickly as you can, all that kind of stuff. Hurrying is the number one, for me anyways, reason I get injured, okay? Earlier today, I was gluing up the handle scales on this batch of knives, right? I got the camera there, you know, so I'm distracted, as well as I was in a hurry because I was distracted. I've glued up so many of these knife handle scales that, you know, typically it goes really nice and smooth. There's never any missteps, you know, anything like that. You throw the camera in, and I'm trying to talk to the camera, point things out, you know, as I'm doing it. Now all of a sudden, we got, you know, a minute and a half to finish getting these scales clamped up, wiped down and everything. Now I'm in a hurry, right? So as I was standing them up, I was reaching over to clean the scale joint up here on this one, and I was in a hurry, bam, jabbed my hand right there. I mean, it was a small injury, you know, I mean, the point of the knife only went probably a ½ inch into my, into the meat of my, you know, the lower base of my thumb there, but still, you know, it could have been a lot worse, and it was because I was rushing, all right? Second one, or the third one, I guess, is if you're distracted, okay? Distracted in this instant earlier today was the camera. You know, you guys got no idea how, you know, a lot of the stuff that that I or other YouTubers do, you know, we might have done it 1,000 times before, all right? But having that camera in there, even though I kind of think that I'm not quite so camera shy anymore after 250 videos, I think, still, having you guys look over my shoulder or right in front of me, or sometimes having to work around you, it is kind of distracting. And, you know, in this case, when I jabbed my thumb, it was distraction and rushing at the same time. Now today it wasn't that big a deal. Like I said, that point only went about a ½ inch into my flesh. It was a fairly sharp point. You know, I bled over some of the bench and everything, finished doing what I was doing, licked it off, grabbed a Band-Aid, put it on, went about my day. It could have been worse. I mean, as thin and as sharp as these points are, you know, if I'd have come down hard, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if that knife would have gone clear through my hand, you know, I mean, if it turned sideways and could go in between the bones. But, you know, that's what this is. This is serious business. The last thing we're going to talk about, since it was the first thing that I talked about in the last video, is drugs and alcohol. To me, they're one and the same, okay? I do drink. I don't drink every day. In the past, in different times in my life, I did drink every day. But never in the shop. Ever. Because it got drilled into my head so much when I was in either shop classes in school or shop out on the job, that sort of deal. Never, ever, ever was I ever drinking on the job. I've never really gotten into drugs. Well, I say that now that I'm in my middle 40s. I've got a bad stomach. You know, you go to the doctor once and the next thing you know, they like got their claws into you, and the next thing you know, you're on 15 frickin' pills. Some of which will affect your, you know, got side effects that affect your performance in the shop. But as far as like the illegal stuff, you know, I never got into them. Now, you know, so I know, you know, an awful lot of guys, especially from the comments in that last video, really enjoy drinking beer while you're sharpening, which, you know, hey, I mean, this is intended to be like a tailgate meeting, okay? So take it if you, I mean, take it however you want it, really. I mean, if you want to drink while you're sharpening everything, you know, hey, they're your fingers, your knife, and your stone, right? I mean, and your booze. But just bear in mind that, you know, that is taking away some of your safety there, your safety, you know what I mean. Yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, so the last point I think I want to make is what constitutes a shop, okay? I mean, we're always told, or at least I was always told, in wood shop, welding shop, car shop, any of that kind of stuff, that, you know, like for the drugs or the booze, you never, you know, drink and work in the shop at the same time, right? Well, what constitutes a shop? All right. This is obviously a shop, right? I mean, we've got workbenches, we've got drill presses, milling machines, lathes, the kiln, the power hammer, the forges, you know, I mean, the grinders. I mean, so this is obviously a shop, right? Because it's got all that equipment in there. And it's all under one roof, and it's all organized just like a shop would be, right? Okay, so a mechanic shop would be the same thing, right? You got toolboxes, you got lifts, you know, lift up cars, jacks, you know, all that kind of stuff. That's obviously a shop. Well, what about the majority of the shops out there? Okay, for every shop like this, I almost guarantee you there's 50 shops that are the desk in somebody's bedroom, or they are a bench that's this wide and it's shoved up against the wall in the garage, and you have to back the car out to be able to get to it. Okay, or and honestly, I've had both of those. You know, this shop right here, still, I mean, I've lived here now, we just bought the place in December. The whole time that I was, you know, coming in here, insulating the walls, putting the wiring in, putting the ceiling in, you know, the whole 9 yards. And still now, when I walk through that door to come in here and shoot this video, I walk through that door and I'm like, holy cow, I can't believe I'm working in a shop like this. And that it's my shop. I mean, I got to make the payments on it, right? But it's still my shop. When I was a kid, you know, I mean, I've been into knives big time since I can remember. So, however old that is, 4, 5, 10, whatever, right? And so and we moved around an awful lot when I was a kid. And so a lot of times I didn't even have a bench or a desk in a bedroom or a living room or anything like that. You know, my shop was sitting in a chair with a towel across my lap. That was my shop, okay? Like I said, I had the towel across the lap shop. I had the desk shop. I had the bench shoved up into the garage shop. I had, you know, everything from that to a single-car garage in my first house. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven when I had a one-car garage I could work in. Then, when we moved houses and I went into a 2-car garage, it was oversized also with the really tall ceilings. That's where I got my start like truly making knives, you know, for a living. And I thought I'd died and gone to heaven there too. And then I come into this shop and it's like, man, can heaven get any better? All of those, to me, are a knife shop, okay? Now, like I said, so all of those are a knife shop, all right? Which, if they're a shop, then in my mind, all of these safety things apply to that shop. The second I started being paid for my work, then they're doubly important, right? Because now this isn't my stuff that I'm working on, right? It's somebody else's stuff that I'm working on. And in my mind, when you're working on somebody else's stuff, the stakes are a little bit higher because it's not my stuff. If I screw up one of those knives, you know, before I sell it, you know, I throw it in a box or throw it in the trash or, you know, do whatever with it, right? And it doesn't hurt my feelings a dang bit. If it's a particularly nice knife and I'm almost done with it, then yeah, you know, I might feel sad for a little bit, but it's still into the trash it goes, and then, you know, I make another one. If it's somebody else's, especially if it's like an heirloom or something like that, or, you know, if it means a lot to them and you screw it up, well then, you know, now it's not yours to really screw up. And so your safety and your mindset, to me, it means more at that point. Okay, so if I hadn't said this already, like I said, you just heard my timeline, right? Okay, when I was a kid, now we moved an awful lot. So 1 week, you know, I might have an actual workbench somewhere, right? And the next week I might be back to the towel across the lap workshop. And the next, you know, 6 months later, I might be, you know, having a desk to do, you know, that was my workshop. And then I grew up, got out on my own, got my first place at a 1-car garage. Then I went into a 2-car garage, and now I'm in this shop right here. I have no idea what tomorrow's going to bring because tomorrow isn't here yet, okay? But it's my firm belief that if you start treating your knife shop as a knife shop, no matter what it is, I mean, if it's a towel across your lap, the second you put that towel across your lap, bam, you are at work. Now, when you're at work, okay, all these things come into play, all right? Because you don't want to get injured while you're at work, right? Okay. And then as you move up in shops, then that mindset is already there, okay? And it'll keep you, it's not 100% keep you safe, but it's about the best chance you have to keep all your fingers attached to your hands and keep your hands attached to your arms, keep both of your eyes, keep both of them working, keep your mind being able to think, you know, all that. And you might not think that sharpening a knife is all that dangerous of a job, but, you know, like I told you, and I mean, I've talked about this story several times. You know, all this equipment in this shop, the worst injury I ever got was something I never dreamed I could get injured doing, and that was hand sanding a chef's knife on a sanding stick. Okay? I mean, come over here and I'll show you what I mean here. Let's get this out. I wasn't going to do this, otherwise I'd have had you set up, right? So there's my sanding stick. Let's reach up here and grab a knife. Here's an 8-inch chef, right? So you clamp this up like this. Okay, and you turn your light up over here. Okay, and you take these sanding sticks, right? And you take that sanding stick and you put sandpaper on it and you sit there and you sand that knife. Never in a gazillion years would I have thought for one instant that doing this would give me my worst injury I've ever sustained in my shop, okay? What happened was my boy and I, we were going to go see The Hobbit, or the Lord of the Rings. It was the second one. It had just come out in the theater. We'd been waiting for it for 6 months. So I was excited, and I was excited to go, you know, spend some time with my boy. He was, I don't know, maybe 11-ish. I mean, he's 17 now, so 11, 12-ish, something like that. So I was excited to go spend some time with him, and excited to see the movie at the same time. So I was distracted, right? So then, you know, the movie was supposed to start in, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes, whatever. And I wanted to get, you know, usually when you hand sand, you sand first with one grit in this direction, and then you come back with another grit and you sand in this direction, okay? And that lets you, the different directions lets you see the scratches better. So, you know, I wanted to get to a stopping point, okay? So I wanted to get all the scratches going in this direction, and then I was going to go ahead and quit, and then we were going to go ahead and go to the movie, and then I was going to come back home, and then I was going to start in this direction. I think that's how it was. So I was distracted thinking about going to the movies with my boy, right? Then I was in a hurry because I wanted to get this done before we left, and I was running out of time, okay? Two of the big things that were just on that list, about either one of them can up the odds of you getting injured, right? Now this is two of them. Now that really ups your odds of getting injured. I don't know how many knives I'd hand sanded already, you know, I mean in my career at that point, a bunch, you know, thousands, right? What happened was that since this right here, since I wasn't using a wide enough sanding block, okay, to support that edge, the point of this is pretty much protected so that when you hit this, if your point is back from the wood, okay, it might cut you a little bit, but it's not going to gut you like a fish, right? Okay. What happened was that on the forward stroke, I went in, and I must have gone here and dropped my thumb down somehow, right? You guys can see where this is going already. So these knives are not sharp, all right, but they're already really thin. I mean, that one right there is, oh heck, it's probably down to 8 or 10 thousandths of an inch thick at the edge. Okay, so it might not be sharp, it won't take hair off your arm, and it might not slice a tomato all that great, but you know what? It'll cut your flesh really easy, especially if you put force behind it, right? So I come up here, somehow my thumb dropped over, and I started coming back, and I felt a sting. Well, what do you do when you feel the sting, right? You pull back from that sting. Well, as I pulled back, it caught, dropped my thumb down even more, and it laid me open. All right, let's find a pointer. You probably won't be able to see the scar on the video, or maybe you will, but that cut goes from here, down here, up to here. All right, and it's, you know, that deep. I looked at it and thought, man, you dummy, what did you do? And so instantly I, you know, pinched down on it, put my sanding stick down, go into the house. That was before I'd, that was before I installed the sink in the old shop. Went in the house, started up the sink, flushed it out. While it's flushing out, of course, you know, I peel back that flap of skin that, you know, skin and muscle that I had. Peel it back and look in there, and I saw part of my tendons in there, right? Little white cord looking thing. And I thought, uh-oh. Well, I flexed my thumb, and my thumb still worked, so I thought, well, okay, it still works. Dang it, the video starts here pretty soon. Well, we'll just tape it up, right? So, back out in the shop I went, grabbed some paper towels and, you know, a roll of duct tape, taped it up, grabbed one of my epoxy mixing sticks, taped it to that, went inside the house, popped a couple aspirin, and Vance and I went and saw the movie. And from what I remember, it was amazing. You know, we got to eat popcorn there at the theater, just my boy and I. The thumb stung a little bit, you know, still, but it was okay. But that was the worst injury I ever got, was hand sanding a frickin' knife. I mean, taking a piece of sandpaper and rubbing it on a knife, right? Because I was distracted and I was in a hurry. One of those things on the list, okay? Tired, rushed, distracted, and then drugs and alcohol, okay? Those are the main things that I can remember of everybody, you know, I mean, my teachers, my chief engineers, my bosses, you know, everybody always telling me to look out for those things. And that's what this video is about, is telling you the same thing that they've been telling me the whole time, in the hopes that after you get done with your work, like again, I said, whether it's the towel across the lap, it's a knife shop like this, it's a commercial knife shop, it's whatever, so that you can go home with all 10 fingers, both eyes, and everything works the way it's supposed to, and you don't have blood on the floor or on anything else, right? Okay, so again, the other video, you know what happened, right? And so again, I apologize that it happened. I did go back and look at the video. I can kind of sort of see, now of course I made the video, right? So it makes perfect sense to me because I'm the one that made it. I can kind of see sort of where you could pull some of those, where you could see that I was not, I can kind of sort of see where somebody could see that and say, oh, well, he hates that dude, right? That's not the case, okay? So I'm sorry if it came across like that. I'm hoping this video makes it a little bit clearer. That fella reminded me that I was going to make this video, okay? So this video is like a safety tailgate meeting, okay? It's not about that other fella, right? So, and this video is hopefully, I mean, the whole point of this is to keep your 10 fingers attached to your hands, right? And not have blood all over the place. So, you know, take it for what it is. And anyway, either way, if you hate the video, I still hope you end up with all, you know, keeping all 10 of your fingers and everything. So again, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can find me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. I hope you enjoyed the video. Apologize for the last video. That video is deleted. I think I've still got it in the camera. I don't know why, probably because I never delete anything. But anyway, it's still there. So hope you enjoyed the video, and I will try not to bring in anybody else as far as like examples or anything like that. Again, I didn't mention any names. Maybe that's not enough. So, hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.